Welcome to our introduction to Zoom video conferencing, following along with our online meeting survival guide, which started with Skype, then went to Google Meet, then went to Microsoft Teams. Now we're on Zoom, and finally we'll finish up with Facebook Messenger Rooms. Let's get into it. So Zoom has been one of my favorite video conferencing applications, but Zoom is actually more than just video conferencing. They actually have some unified communication tools, including chat, and they take video conferencing further than probably anyone in the industry. They've become a leader since their launch in 2013. The company was actually founded in 2011 by Yuan, and I'm really excited to talk about this software with you. So first of all, Zoom is probably the established leader in the market at this time. Zoom's explosive growth happened in early 2020, really in March and April. And in response to Zoom's explosive growth, actually big companies like like Google and Facebook have been responding by actually making their products more free, essentially, and trying to compete with Zoom because they've grown so quickly. Now, Zoom itself is not part of an online workspace in the way that Google Meet and Microsoft Teams are. You know, Google Meet is part of the G Suite, which is a massive online workspace. Microsoft Teams is part of Office 365, and even Facebook Rooms and Messenger is part of a bigger social media network. And then Facebook even has an online workspace solution called Facebook Workspace. So Zoom usually bolts on to something like Google Calendar, which you can integrate Zoom into, or Microsoft Teams, which actually features a plugin for Zoom. So Zoom is really like the best in breed when it comes to video conferencing. Now, this is the main Zoom dashboard here. And I've actually got it right here as well. So you can this is my live dashboard here. Essentially, you can go from home to chat to meetings to contacts. And this is a very simplistic dashboard. I've got a meeting running, because it says return to meeting. Otherwise, that would say start a meeting. And I'm going to show a live meeting with you in a moment. And then you have the ability to always obviously schedule a meeting as well that can be integrated into Google Calendars, Office 365 via the Outlook Exchange. So you can launch a meeting with or without video. If you see the camera there, you're launching with video. If you see the strike in the camera, you're launching without video. You can join an existing meeting using the meeting ID that is generated for the meeting. You may need a password, and we'll talk a little bit about security. You can schedule a meeting or just simply start a screen share. And that screen share button is used a lot in Zoom rooms where there's already a Zoom room there, and you can simply start screen sharing from any device that you have. Now, when you start up Zoom, you have a lot of different options. You can turn your microphone on and off, your camera on and off. You can manage your entire participants list. You can manage a chat that can be quite active. You can start screen sharing. You can record a meeting, and you can end a meeting. Now, I skipped a very important one here, which is the security button. So if we pull this up, I would like to focus on security for a moment. You can lock your meeting entirely, meaning no one else can join. You can enable a waiting room, which is very popular now, which before people join into your meeting, they have to join the waiting room and be admitted into your meeting. You can allow or not allow people to screen share. So in many situations, you don't want your guests to screen share, so you can turn that off. You can also allow or not allow people to rename themselves. So that is important. The other thing you can do is if you want to invite people to the meeting, you can click this invite button here, and it actually opens up an entire list of people that you can invite via your contacts, your Zoom rooms that you have, your room systems, and via email. You can also simply just copy the link and you can paste it back into a Google chat, for example. Now on the screen sharing setting, you can allow multiple participants to screen share at the same time. And there's some advanced settings here that you could say only the host can share or all participants can share. So there's a lot of really detailed controls hidden in what I think is one of the most elegant, straightforward interfaces that we've seen in the video conferencing space. When you hit record, you can record to the computer or the cloud. The computer, if you do record to your computer, It will essentially record an MP4, which via video, but it will also record an audio file. I can't remember exactly what the audio file is recorded in. There's closed captioning that can be done with a third-party service, or you can assign someone to type the closed captioning in. There's also breakout rooms, which we'll look at in a moment in more detail, that are very powerful ways to split up larger meetings into more meaningful groups. And then, of course, you can react to content as well. So Zoom has a really powerful annotation features, which I think we should share. And the annotation features allow you to draw, write text, stamp, and highlight what you are screen sharing with a group. And I feel like it would be really powerful to show that now. So if I click the screen share button, and by the way, we'll look at this in more detail, you have a lot of options for screen sharing. You can share any screen or tab that is open on your computer. You can share a portion of your screen. You can share just music, which is great for Spotify, or just the content of a second camera. But I'm going to choose here to share this annotation feature here. I can click the annotate, and now I can actually have all of these great drawing features where I'm annotating like this. And it's really great for showing what you're trying to share. And Spotlight is a good one too. These are just little arrows that update. So if you have something detailed you want to bring people's attention to, the annotation tools are really powerful from Zoom. So I can just click this stop share button here, and now I've stopped sharing. So Zoom has a complete chat, and that's that chat area here. It's really great if you know other people use Zoom or they're in your organization. You can chat with them and immediately escalate to a phone call or a video call using the chat. It's very similar to Slack, and you can have channels as well as highlighted messages, and you can share files. Very similar to Slack, not quite as in-depth, but it is included with Zoom video conferencing. Now, when you're in a large meeting, the interface essentially populates with faces, which is a really awesome video-first centric platform. So when you're in the Zoom meeting, the active speaker will have this green box around them. So you can really kind of figure out who is inside of there. You have the ability to have that nice control bar at the bottom. And then I'm not sure if we mentioned the leave meeting button is always in the bottom right. Now, in the settings area of your Zoom calls, which might as well just bring up here to make this easier to look at, you can go into the settings. And in general, you can just kind of set up a bunch of stuff. Do you want Zoom to start while you start Windows, right? So have it set up all the time. Do you want it to open in a dual monitor mode, which allows you to have kind of a full screen for screen sharing and then have all the other people on the other side? There's lots of options, so we won't go over all of them, but you have some really nice abilities to touch up your appearance. And there's one that everyone loves, which is the virtual backgrounds, which is working pretty well. I don't have my camera set up properly for that. Your recording destinations, your statistics, which are interesting to take a look at, which allow you to see what is the frame rate and video resolution and audio resolution for what you are getting. There's some great keyboard shortcuts that you can enable as well to get things going. And a great one to know about is the space bar. When you're muted, if you hold the space bar, it will unmute you. So you can use that as a quick mute, unmute option. So during screen sharing, we looked at this. There's 3 different options. You can go from basic to advanced to files. One that's really powerful is the whiteboarding tool. It's great with an iPhone or an iPad or some type of touch screen. And then another option at the bottom here that you should know is the ability to optimize your screen sharing for a video clip, because you can watch videos in a shared session. Now in the advanced area, we looked at this as well. You can select just a portion of your screen, music, or content from a second camera. Now, there's also an entire settings area for your Zoom dashboard where you can get in here and turn your availability and your profile and learn a little bit more about updating your client and having everything set up. Now, we looked at the chat area here. This has the ability to look at your contacts, or like I said, organized channels of contacts. So very much similar to Slack, where you can create a channel, give the channel a name, and invite members to it, and have it either be public, where anyone in your organization can join, or private between only a few members. Now, in the meetings area here, you can notice that I have my personal meeting ID grayed out. And their personal meeting ID is something you do not want to share with anyone that you don't trust, because it's great for a lot of applications. Your personal meeting ID never changes and people can join that at any time. So you can have a link on your website or in your email signature for people to join that and pop in, and it never changes. But generally, for security purposes, you do want to keep that private with only people you trust, because other people can just jump in if you don't have the meeting locked or a waiting room enabled. Now, upcoming meetings will show up here, and you can obviously schedule new meetings. And generally, it's best practice to schedule new meetings with outside attendees with a random meeting ID that always changes. Now, when you're scheduling a meeting, you give the meeting a name, start time. You can decide whether you would like it to be a recurring meeting and generate that meeting ID automatically, which would be random. You can also require a password, which I do think is very good idea. You can set up the default video options for host and participants, and highly recommend having it set up to be on for video, because this is a video first platform and 93% of communications are nonverbal. So it's important to show face and be part of the video conference. You have some audio conferencing options, and then, as we mentioned, those calendar invitations for Microsoft Outlook and Google Calendar. Now, Breakout Rooms is probably one of my favorite features inside of Zoom. It must be enabled in your Zoom dashboard in order to appear on the control bar at the bottom, but once done, you get this Breakout Room button. And this is what it looks like when you join a breakout room. It takes a couple seconds, but as a host, you can create up to 25 rooms sometimes, depending on how many participants you have. And you can create these rooms and break out into different sessions. So this is great for all kinds of collaboration where you want to get smaller groups to be able to speak together. As a meeting host, when you break everyone out into these rooms, you can still communicate with them by being able to broadcast a message to all. So you can set time limits for these breakout rooms. It's great for like small mixers and get-togethers with people, and it's really, really innovative. So check out the breakout rooms inside of Zoom if you want to get into smaller groups and be more professional with those groups. Okay, that was a high-level look at Zoom video conferencing. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Facebook's new messenger service is next, so stick around.